Mark came in and talked about hitting the deer.
I heard I could have just caught him. You know what? I always love seeing him. Just positivity, even if you hit a deer, right? He finds a good thing to happen with that. So they've been on a little bit of a roll, and I just told them good luck at Duluth because that's never an easy place to go play.
You've driven on some dark roads and
Yeah,
over the years.
you know what? It's we've truck, car, snowmobile, dodged one on a four-wheeler. When you're living in that country, that happens. They've got a right to the road too, I've been told. So yeah, it's. I will tell you, when you get into the piece of the recruiting side of it, and you're driving and it's a little bit later, you do have an awareness of what could be coming across the ditch. So I'm glad he's all right.
Seen the way the last 2 weeks have gone with the opponents being really physical against you. What is that preparing for in terms of you're getting into February? You know the ice is going to be a lot harder to get at as you're getting closer to March. How do you use that to kind of just set the course for where you're going?
You know what's been really good about it from my standpoint is we've had some peaks and valleys in that where we've learned we've got to be a little harder to be successful, and then we've had some moments where we have been harder and have had some success. You know, I'm still a newbie in the league. It's my second year in the playoffs. It's just hard hockey as we get through this. You've got, you go through what we went through. We go state, we go, and we can say what we want about Long Island. I thought they were hard and heavy and had a purpose, and they were trying to make a point with that. And then you come back, and Michigan was physical, and now we're going to go to Minnesota. And then after that, you've got all of us fighting for our lives, whether it's Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame. Hopefully it toughens you up for the most important time of the season. And our guys haven't spit the bit all year, and they haven't spit it with this. At that time, you're going to have my guess, we'll have some casualties. You hope it doesn't happen, but when you're playing teams that are as physical as the teams that we're playing, it's going to happen.
Do you have a sense what you guys as the week of practice, like Christian did, to come out and play the way that he did and have success through goals and whatnot against Michigan? Do you sense that as a coach?
I don't want to give coach speak, but I'm going to. You want to see those things every day for only. Really, it's a great example for the other guys, and you look at a guy like Mosley, like Finley, and even Morrissey. At the beginning of the year when we were in here talking about, what we needed to get going, we needed some guys to be example setters and to pay attention to their dailies. And if you do that, it doesn't guarantee you success on the weekend, but it does prepare you for success. And that's what Christian's been fighting through this real hard and has stuck with it. And as a coach, you hope the game pays him back at some time. And this weekend he earned everything that he got, and I was really happy for him because, and not just myself and our staff, but to see his teammates, because they see what he's doing Monday through Thursday. And to have the game pay him back the way that it did and him have the success that he had, was great to see him build it from the week and it pour into the weekend. It's something that the other guys can look at and say, okay, if I cross the T's and dot the I's Monday to Thursday, there's a better chance of me being successful on a Friday and Saturday.
Go ahead. Anything lingering with Finley out of what happened Friday in terms of how you're taking it this week? And
Talked to him today. He's, he practiced right away on Monday and right back at it today. I'm not going to put him in the meat grinder. We're going to make sure that but as he says, he goes, this is an important time of year. He's an important piece of us. And, he got back right at it, and I think he's in really good shape right now. I'll know a little bit more today when we get done, but that's more of I wish it was going quicker. I know he does too. We'll have to see. I'd say tomorrow is a make or break. on where he's at for the availability on the weekend.
You used the phrase that you have the game pay it back. Ben had gone a long time without a goal. Obviously had a lot of assists in that time. But is there something that when a guy actually gets a goal that you realize that maybe it was nagging at him a little bit, or this is really important, or is it just that's hockey?
Well, I think you probably, Ben would answer that probably a little bit better than I, just because of what he's doing. I love seeing Ben at the rink every single day because of what, I understand what he brings to us as a player, but even just, I think there was a little bit of that monkey off his back. Boy, has he been a driver, and this weekend I thought he was special. Physically, offensively, both ends of the rink. To see him have that, he's an energetic kid that has a smile every day, but it was a little bit wider on Saturday when he was able, and it's such an important goal, not just scoring a goal, but the importance of that. He played a lot of minutes. It's just good to see him get that zero off that side because he is a driver for us.
Well, and also, I mean, that one came after, like, the other goal had come off of him. You know what I mean? More important than to just kind of, it helps to forget about, oh my God, this weird thing happened that I contributed to the other team's story.
Yeah, you know what? You can turn on the TV every night and there's guys making $7, $8, $9 million that make mistakes. And it wasn't a mistake, it was a bad hop. Went off his skate, and I just think he's a mentally strong young man that just flushed it, and now what can I do? That's the type of guy that he is every day while he's with us, and I appreciate you bringing that point up. It's something I'll probably bring up to our group on the idea of when it goes from heads, it can go to tails in a hurry. So if something bad happens, re-tee it up and get right back after it, and that's what he did.
And the phrase used, bad hops. It seems like, I mean, if you want to stretch this, hockey is such a game of weird bounces that you're maybe a half dozen bounces out of being, a way better record. It's just something you accept early on in hockey, that this game is maybe more than any, is about how things out of your control bounce. And
yeah, I think more so for us, it's we get to control what we get to control. Now, if we rewind everything, I've already thought of this when we get done with the season, of every single year we go back and say, okay, you check the lug nuts on the tires and figure what was good and what wasn't, what was tight, what was loose. And for us, we had that bad combination of not being able to stop it enough and not be able to score it enough. And that is what we were. And so we had to own that, identify it, but then also look out the front windshield, because we couldn't, once it goes by, there's really not much you can do. And just like Ben did, you flush it, you learn from it, and you move on. And the guys, the resiliency of this group going through that adversity, I think has allowed them to grow, and we need to continue to lean on that. It doesn't mean we want to keep going through the same stories. We want to learn from the good and the bad that we've already experienced.
You taking out of where your two goalies, how they played over the weekend, was that kind of an anomaly? I mean, both of them, after they came in relief, had some pretty good games, but I don't know if it is that a little fragile with the psyche of the goalie right now, or how are you seeing that with the two of them?
It depends which perspective you're looking from, because if you look at both individuals going in without a shot on net and shutting the door, pretty mentally tough. And then you flip the coin and you go to the other side and say, okay, we didn't get off to great starts. Both of those young men have been through enough this year, going back to us being 2-8. They're pretty toughened up. So for me, it wasn't a good weekend from that standpoint. The thing I love about it is both of them own it. And I think they'll both just turn the page, and they know we've got to be better. And we can do some things also to not put them on that island as much as we did in the first period both nights.
the ability to battle back both games from 2-goal deficits, so that's a spot you don't want to be in, but being able to do that, you have that on tape now. Does that kind of go back to the resiliency that you talked about from the beginning of the season, just kind of battling? And how does that maybe help you as you close out this regular season where every point, every game is magnifying?
I think experience is your best teacher. I'm not going to be standing up in there if we're down by 2 say, guys, remember last weekend? It doesn't really work that way, I don't think. They've got to go through the experience, and they're the ones that pulled us out of that fire. Different guys at different times. I do think it shows the belief they have in each other. I will say, playing at home, having the crowds that we had this weekend, that crowd interaction with the puck pinned on the wall, up by 1, they helped us win that hockey game. And I'm not trying to be theatrical, it's just there was energy in that building. And we've got to be the ones that get them into that. We were a little slow on that on Saturday, but the guys stuck with it, and I think it was good that we played at home this weekend, and we took advantage of that. But now we've got to take that on the road.
Talking about Tyson Dick on Saturday. What's his next, I guess, what's the next level in progress for him in terms of being a top 6 guy, put him in that role to be that consistently? How does he do that?
The word you just said, the dailies. But I'll give him credit too. He's somebody, when we walk off the ice as a staff and we're rehashing a little bit of practice, he's somebody that comes up consistently. You know, well, what about when Dicker did this? And he just, when you sit around the locker room or they're in the lounge and they're talking, and I think he's feeling pretty good about his game, and I think his teammates are too, because he goes out and earns it. So I think he's playing with a lot of confidence. And that borderline of when to make a play, when not to, he's not thinking about that. He's just going out and playing. And I think that's the same thing you saw with Fitzy this week, and he just went out and played. Now they've got to play with a certain pace and purpose, but when they do that, you can see what they're capable of. I thought both guys had great weekends.
What do you expect from this series coming up, especially after Minnesota's last series?
As it always is with them. It's just a grind. You know, they've got ability up and down their lineup. They've got some guys, Snuggy's probably playing as well as anybody in the country right now, is Renzel, a real good defenseman. Their whole D-core, they're going to go back home and try and defend their home ice just like we did last weekend. And we've got to go on the road and find a way to play good hockey, give ourselves opportunities to get points. And it's going to be a challenge, but it's one that, you know, this league prepares you for weekends like this weekend. Last weekend we grew positively for the most part, but there's some things that hurt a little bit. And so we just have to turn the page and be prepared, because they're going to be excited about playing us on Friday night. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep, you guys take care.